want to go this way?
Yeah, go for it.
Hey, good morning, Amsterdam, and thank you very much for joining us here for our Dell session. My name is Ronan, Carey. I'm very privileged to run our data and AI practice here in Dell Technologies. I'm here with Maciej, my colleague Neil, and we're here with Olya from NVIDIA. Here to do a really practical session. We're delighted to see so many of you here today. Thank you very much. There's still room at the front if you want to join us here. We're going to be doing a session really practically around coding assistance. The idea for this was, what if we could put an idiot on the stage who had no coding experience, and could we make that person code? So they couldn't find an idiot, so I was the next stand-in for that one. Let me tell you a little bit about what we're doing at Dell Technologies. So Dell Technologies, we have 10,000 developers. We develop code on our machines. We develop code for Dell Technologies, our operational business, our supply chain, our marketing, everything that we do. What we found is by having a human-machine partnership with coding assistance, AI-generated coding assistance, we can accelerate coding speed, we can improve the quality, and moreover, we can improve the happiness and productivity of our coders within Dell Technologies. So today, here's what you're going to need. You're not going to need a table, but for those of you that got a laptop, I need you to open up your laptops. I'm going to work on groups. Let's work on tables. If you've not got a laptop, you've got loads of friends you can make here today. You're going to see some Dell folks around here. They're dressed in blue. They're going to help you out. We're going to have a hands-on lab. We'll be around the tables to help you out. I'm going to hand you over to Maciej here to talk through a little bit more detail.
Yeah, thank you, Ronan. So basically what we will start with is a short exercise, a lab that you can do yourself on your own laptops. If you can bring them up, laptops, iPads, any kind of computing device that you have on your phone, it will be super difficult to type and pretend that you are coding, but any other device should be sufficient. So the lab that is behind this QR code will be available for some time after the workshop, so don't worry if you do not have a laptop. You will be able to play around in your home. Just make a photo of the QR code or keep the link for yourself, and you will be able to play with the same lab later on. Okay, I will display it afterwards as well, so whoever did not manage to pick it, you can do that later. What we will be doing today is basically connecting to the lab environment that is running in our CSC center in Ireland. The question is, can you see the screen, or is it too small? Okay, that's not going to get any better, but I will try to guide you through it anyways. So what is running on those labs, there are servers with L40 GPUs, which will be powering the whole system. And this is a VDI, so this is like a virtual desktop machine that's going to emulate what you would be doing on your own laptop. Every tooling running in this is working on a Mac. I see that you guys are on that here. It works on Linux as well, so it does not really change a lot. So you're probably already, after staying in this conference, familiar with large language models, playing with it a lot. And obviously, the simplest thing that you could be doing is try to start using your normal chat interface and try to get answers about the code. So in LM Studio, you have a possibility to pull on models from the Hugging Face repository, from NVIDIA NGC containers, and a lot of places. And obviously, the first thing that is important is choosing the right model. So if you look at your standard LLMs that are being used for chatbots and that type of exercises, they are not really good at coding. So that's why in this session, we will be using a model called Code Llama. But basically, if you are interested in exploring what are the options, in the search bar, if you click it, there are tons of models that are specialized for coding. And what you can do is basically load that model. You can do it yourself as well. You will be sharing the GPU compute power. So that's also quite efficient, and you can run it in your company as well amongst multiple people. So simplest thing that you need to do is so prompt. You are a helpful coding AI assistant, nothing special. So we have, like, generate me a PowerShell script that shows current date. Simple stuff, of course. You can generate code, you can see it's working. Looks super annoying in general, right? Playing with the prompt and trying to copy-paste answers. That's not how you should be using those tools. That's like the simple thing that you can try and see how this will work. But realistically, you need this model running somewhere and hosted and hooked up to your natural coding environment. So this will be your VS Code editor, IntelliJ, or whatever you are using. So the LM Studio available in this lab will allow you to do that as well. You have the arrow here and a thing called local server, where you can choose a model and basically run locally the LM Studio server that will expose an API endpoint just like OpenAI does with ChatGPT or any other endpoint, and you can hook up your editor. So how this actually works, I'm running here Visual Studio Code. You can do it in almost any other editor, and what we are using here is a plugin to the Visual Studio Code Continue. If you want to run it on your own machine right now, go to the plugin marketplace, type Continue, and install that plugin, and then you will be able to run it for yourself as well. And this will hook up to your LM Studio endpoint. And now what you will be able to do is basically use a shortcut that is already described here, like Control-I to generate a code. And you can either run in the context of your entire project. In this case, we have one file, so not very important. But if you have more files, databases, and that kind of things, that will also help you out. And let's try to generate something, right? So it figured out that we are in, sorry, I asked it to generate an index.html in a Python file. That's not the best idea, but it still tries to work and tries to find a proper web framework, trying to use Flask, generate some data, and basically allows us to run a simple web application. So this works pretty fast in terms of the connectivity in between your machine and your setup. So now for the people who are with the laptops and are connected on your setup, try to run a couple of simple scripts first in the chat. Here are some examples that you can try. So for example, how much free space I have on disk, or do some operations on files and that kind of things. So let me give you a sec when you can try to run it. Is anyone able, from the people with the laptops, anyone is able to be connected to the lab? Please raise your hand. Yeah, so our colleagues in blue polos will step to you if you want. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. So if network is really bad and you cannot follow the lab, that's not a big deal. I will leave you the presentation for later on, so you will be able to play with those tasks here, and you will be able to follow the lab. So let's adapt quickly and do it a little bit differently if you are not able to follow. Let me then give voice to Olya to talk about how you guys can use NVIDIA NIMs as microservices in order to build it efficiently. And then I will jump in and show you how the architecture of such solutions looks like.
Yeah, generally, AI-assisted coding is just prompting an appropriate language model, but to run this language model, you need actually some engine, some setup of software and hardware. The software should use the best features, the best qualities of this hardware in the most efficient way. And for this, we created NVIDIA NIM, which is a microservice running on top of NVIDIA GPUs. As a container, it provides you the fastest possible time to market. So you just spin up the container and you're ready to go using the API which is built in. There is no need to write anything yourself. The models under the hood are already optimized in the most efficient way. We have several teams working on this. So this is the top performance that you can get for large language models that is provided by NIMs. Under the hood, we have the top products from NVIDIA, which might be known to some of you, like TensorRT and TensorRT LLM. They support the most efficient ways to customize the models, which have been pre-trained, like adapters, like p-tuning. And it's running on top of CUDA, which is very famous for improving performance of complicated applications on GPUs. There are open source alternatives to what is under the hood of NIMs. NIMs require NVIDIA AI Enterprise license, and as I've said, this is mainly because you get the fastest time to market. But if you like to reproduce it, it's entirely possible, so you just have to assemble the pipeline yourself of Triton plus TAT-LLM. You have to set it up, and it just takes a little bit more time than with NVIDIA NIM. And also NVIDIA NIM scales really well, so if you have a cluster where you would like to run it in production, NVIDIA NIM is the right way to go. If you would like to get started with NIMs, you can check out NVIDIA AI catalog, and also we have a GitHub repository with a set of examples, mainly about RAG, retrieval augmented generation, built on top of NIMs. We have a lot of models supported out of the box, so you just click and try them out yourself. I think you should be able to get some free tokens for generation, even if you do not have a full-fledged enterprise license so far. And this is the example of how AI Catalog works. It's very similar to what has been shown before. So you just take a prompt and feed it into a model. And we have a set of code samples for Python for using the container with LangChain, and also how to run it on various clusters. So just feel free to try it out yourself, and I head back to the workshop.
So the question to the room, have you, please raise your hand, any of you who tried already using a coding assistant in your daily work? Okay, super cool. And now people who are happy using it and they see a benefit of actually playing with that. Okay, that's half of the team. So obviously there are a couple of caveats and a couple of things that you need to watch out doing that and how to run it in a way that makes sense. So let me tell you what we figured out in Dell internally between our teams and what is important and how to make it really easy in terms of introduction. So first of all, the coding assistants are based on the very high number of the tokens on the input and small amount of tokens on the output, because mostly what you are doing is basically a little bit better tab completion on what you are running right now. And this type of things works really nicely with smaller models, like 7B to 13B was a sweet spot for us because that allows a quick tab completion. So it was much worse in terms of the user experience to get a huge model, even though it will give you better results, but people get annoyed by waiting this couple of additional seconds. So actually getting a less accurate answers, especially for experienced developers and they fixing something up, worked much better for us. Also, what's super important is that whenever you set up such system, don't try to do it just like a very standard RAG pipeline, because here, in order to make the system much more performant and use less compute, it's very important to use caching and basically move with the files that are part of your project through this cache in order to be able to operate on the same code. Also, one additional thing that we found out is playing with the base prompt. So actually implementing properly the initial base prompt that comes with any request that you are making gave us much better performance bump than any other tricks around like speed, optimization, model size, and so on. And what is also very efficient is to combine the outputs of those language models with any kind of note-taking tool that you have. It can be Obsidian, it has nice plugins and integration, or any other thing that you like to use for your notes. And then basically streamline everything that happened in that code so that you later on have something that works really well as documentation. This type of models also work very well with generating test cases and also generating test scenarios for the end users. So if you ask like how did we implement that internally, we combine this together with everything else that we are doing in terms of models and RAG pipelines for chatbots and for knowledge-based agents. So there is one way to access the system regardless of it's like the UI or the API, where basically it figures out what you want to do. So there is a very small model running in the beginning just to make sure that you are not stuck with super simple questions like when is the office being closed, instead of like really generating something serious. And then having a multi-agent system for different use cases. So whenever someone starts a session from a client that is identified as like VS Code, IntelliJ, or whatever, this will go to an agent that is specific for coding, not for like a general chatbot. But we wanted to have this harmonized in terms of the entire infrastructure, because all the text generation, all the guardrails, all the things that we do to make sure that we have compliance and we have traceability and auditability, we wanted to have it the same between, I don't know, people generating marketing messages, people in our support teams doing next best action systems, and also coding, so that we don't have to re-implement all of those surrounding systems for each and every use case. And also having the same like monitoring platform, and the base setup was very important for us. So this is something that you can easily build on-premise as well, and how to build it, Ronan can tell you more.
Great. Thanks, Maciej. I think that one of the problems that we're often trying to solve for organizations is, why do organizations engage with AI or any technology? They engage with it because they want to get to some kind of outcome that'll deliver something for the business or the institution that they work for. Usually they talk about things like, being more profitable, being more efficient. Talked about coding assistance and how that drives within Dell Technologies is an 80% increase in our efficiency of our coders. The biggest challenge organizations have is, how do you get to those actual outcomes through inputs of the use cases, how we manage our data strategy. We very often do have the infrastructure that will first allow us to adopt this technology and then to scale that. What we did at Dell, if you think about how our business is built and what we do, so we build products that run on code. And it takes a long time for us to build enterprise quality products. A load of those challenges that we faced are around the quality of code, making sure it's enterprise grade to go and release. So if we can shorten that time to code, we can shorten that time to release. I'm going to talk about the AI factory that we've built with NVIDIA. Usually that 3-year life cycle of us to bring out a new product, that was shortened into 5 months from conception to delivery. And a big part of that is how we use AI to shorten those processes around code. So what is the factory? It's the first end-to-end enterprise-grade system that's designed for AI adoption, really fast AI adoption. So customers get to benefit from the great things that NVIDIA are doing around the silicon and the software layer. Moreover, from Dell Technologies, how you automate that full-to-stack deployment. And I'll talk a little bit of detail in a second around how we get you to those outcomes a lot faster. So it means that you can build your strategy around a Dell AI factory with NVIDIA, have your environment ready for your developers to go and work on today, get to those, access to the stacks and frameworks that you need to be successful, and to get to the workflows much faster than ever. Our value is that you'll get to business outcomes quicker and at a lower cost point than you might do in other areas, like if you went to a public cloud to do it. Because the biggest thing about this is when we hit scale, it's the cost, the security implications of what it is that we do. So what do? So we build, we scale, and we accelerate these systems to help you adopt IT faster. So you can take our curated, our deployed, validated designs with Dell AI, help you to automate those deployments so you get there quicker. You get to leverage the wide ecosystem that Dell have to get there quicker as well. We scale. So how do we scale? Scale is all about right-sizing that environment. It's about GPU utilization. It's about how that connects to your network, your storage, your wider business. Remember, it's about getting to those outcomes faster for the business. How do we help you accelerate? So we ensure the best availability of product. If you listened to our keynote session earlier, Cal Dufresne talked about our world-class supply chain that we're rebuilding using generative AI. Talk about how we use our expertise in legal compliance to go and deliver this. Is our data quality correct? Have you hit the right compliance markers? Do you understand where you're going with AI and what it means? So I'm going to hand it back to Maciej now. We'll do a little bit of a Q&A as opposed to...
before that,
we
have some other stuff.
Yeah, some stuff.
Fun stuff, yes. So first of all, let me come back, because since we have the bad network situation here, that will be displayed for you so that you can access it later on and play around. In order to then use that time efficiently, our proposal is, since we have a bunch of our colleagues from NVIDIA and from Dell available, and they all have experience in implementing those systems in terms of coding assistance and all other applications of that documentation and text generation. Let's open it up for the room. If you have any questions, we are very happy to help you out. So please raise your hand and someone from the team will come with the mic. Gary, can you grab the microphone?
Yeah, thank you for the improvised insights. I'm wondering, we're quite far, I would say, in adopting coding assistance directly when coding at the core, but we're not that far yet on PR agents and stuff. So I would love to hear something about that from you. Maybe you have insights regarding the steps after the actual coding happened.
Okay, so we have a couple of different workflows based on agents. So the simplest one that are actually working for us and we implemented is, first of all, around the pull requests. So basically, whenever a junior developer or someone from the team is putting a pull request, the code gets in the pipeline in the background before anyone sees it. You get some description, some basic checks, not only linters but also additional information about like how this matches the style of the rest of the code and so on. So basically making a review process easier for whoever is accepting and merging the request. So that's one area. The second, like more fully agentic system, is spinning up environments for testing, generating test codes, generating test reports, and you get a report. This unfortunately fails quite a lot. So we have like 30% of those auto-generated environments and tests completely failed. So that's additional cost in terms of like you're running environments for no good reason. But the 70% that actually works and writes proper tests is, first of all, useful reports that you can use in your system. But also it gives you a lot of code that you can then use as part of your, add to your code base as tests that you will run in your nightly builds or whatever is your release cadence that you are using. What doesn't work at all, for us at least, is like a fully agentic based system that you try to push a user story into it and get an implementation. That's not there. We were not able to do it, and we don't really know any realistic implementation of that. What is the closest thing to doing that is basing it on BDD development. I'm not sure if you are familiar with tools like Cucumber and things where you basically describe in a BDD way what the system should be doing. This is more structured example and a definition, and running from a ready-made Cucumber file into an actual code base, that worked very well for us. The last place where we used a lot of agentic systems is, shamefully speaking, we have tons of stuff which is written in very legacy coding languages, Fortran, COBOL, or the like weird stuff that probably the younger people in the crowd don't even know that exist. This type of languages, that's super difficult because most of the coding assistants are trained on modern code bases and they have no clue how to operate with those earlier languages. So we did tons of fine-tuning to make it happen, and we still use a lot of agents. Whenever we want to migrate something, for example, from COBOL to Java, the first thing that happens is agent writing a lot of tests on the boundaries of the system and all the things that are interacting with it, databases, BUI components, and everything that surrounds the code that we want to move. And then you are getting it in order to be able to even operate on that. So this is how we are using agents. We are not using them as like, hey, be my coder and create me that user story. That doesn't work yet. We want it to work. We are trying to make it work, but it's not there yet. Any other questions? Sorry? The plugin in VS Code is named Continue. That's something that allows you to very quickly integrate to locally hosted either Olama or LM Studio or whatever you guys are using to run your local ML models. You can also use the same plugin to connect to Perplexity or like Claude or any other model that you are interested in. Okay, cool. So hope you will have fun playing with the lab outside of this workshop where you actually have internet. That would be very helpful and will make it work much easier. And thank you for being here and listening to Improvised Insights, as we have a new title for the session from our colleague.